So my question is, where do you think you as a man, or where do you think men should be able to find a productive example of what a man should look like? Like, you know what I mean? Back in the day, when we was talking about earlier, we was talking about the Martin Luther Kings, we talked about the Malcolm X's, Muhammad Ali. There's plenty of different male. Back in the day, I think that we had some,
Hmm.
there were figures that we would say like, this is the idea, you know what I mean, of what this is a productive man. This is what a man should be striving to look like. And I think that here within this, I don't know, within our generation, the back half of our 30s, or not back half, the mid, we're at a place now where it's like, bro, where do we find these productive figures? You know what I mean? The where you can actually, you know what I mean, revere and be like, I'm striving to be like this. I
Hmm.
think that as we've grown, like I don't see any, you know what I mean, other than honestly, it's more for me, and I'll go ahead and give my answer
Okay.
now. For me, it's more like the bits and pieces of the homies and the men that are around me. I'm at an age now where it ain't too much conversation that we're gonna have that is just an unproductive, all just BS conversation. We do get little shits and giggles in, but like there's a lot like I choose the people that I've chosen to be around is for a reason. They exhibit certain characteristics. Their character and their standards for themselves, and you know what I mean. Their life is just they have the standards. It's set. The ceiling is high. You know what I mean. And so they have character that I can build from each and every one of y'all and pull things. But it's like, is there a figure, you know what I mean, somebody, or where can we figure out, you know what I mean? And even like my pops, you know what I mean, there are things that I pull from him too. But like, is there a figure, or where do you think that you where do you get yours from?
I mean, originally, like, of course, it's my pops. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's the blueprint. That's, I see a lot of myself in my dad, like good and bad. Like, I mean, I also see a lot from my mother. Like, a lot of my personality like comes from my mom. Like, as far as like the joking, being silly, and like just the personality side of it, I get from my mom.
Mm-hmm.
But like
Hmm.
the being a man and like the strength and like that. Some people call it a little bit of stubbornness or being like just
Mm-hmm.
like being willing to die on that hill and like stand up for what I believe in. I
They say
get
you stubborn.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Oh
I'm
man,
stubborn.
it's
Yeah,
crazy.
I'm a little bit.
I ain't never thought that. That's
I'm a little
crazy.
stubborn. I get that. But yeah, I get a lot of that from my dad because he believed what he believed and he stood on it. And
Mm-hmm.
whether I understood it at the time, whether he stood on it, and honestly, whether I agree with it or disagree with it to this day,
He stood on it.
he stood
And
on
he's
it,
still standing.
and he had his reasons for standing on it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I respect. Also, like I've had like other good role models coming up, whether it be coaches
Mm-hmm.
from football, basketball, whether it be certain managers I've had when I got into like working and stuff, and certain people that then taught me certain things. But like it originally goes back to my pops. It's just is where I've always like if nobody else was there, I could go back to my pops and see that. And along the way, I done took bits and pieces from different people along the way and kind of added to it. But if you don't have that, like, I believe it should come from your pops, and if you ain't got that, you got to find something else. But the fathers should be the blueprint to their sons,
Mm.
and if the fathers ain't blueprints to their sons, you doing the community a disservice. So that'd be
Gotcha.
my answer.
So I guess one, I like to answer the question by saying a reason why. I guess in the community we don't have, or it doesn't seem as though there is a bunch of leaders. I think social media has taken, not even taken, it's allowed us to see behind the curtain. So, like, imagine being able to see back in the day MLK in the midst of a cheating
Cheating on his wife.
scandal, and
Mm.
like every time he did something, you know what I mean, like anything disparaging, like there was a camera waiting to catch him and put it out for clicks and attention and like to diminish his character. To
MLK smacked something and the girl on Instagram like
Yeah, yeah,
talking
just
Yeah,
bragging
crazy,
on it.
yeah, yeah.
talking crazy.
I think
He
that
got the footage and everything.
unfortunately we have a witch hunt for all of our great men, in which it almost places it to where it's hard for any man to be seen quote unquote great in the eye of the public because of, again, like, mystique in itself used to be a selling point, like
Mm-hmm.
the idea of like heroism is almost gone because of you can see the day to day and the good and the bad, in which the positive is that it humanizes every human. But sometimes I guess the question would be, is it good to have heroes? And I imagine like one can go both ways,
Right,
because
right.
then you can get into the ideology, whatever the word is, being idolizing people. Um, but I think Johnny hit the nail on the head when it comes down to where you should probably look at it, and I think you did as well, Rell, where the people that are around you are probably going to be the people that you probably should be learning from, should be the role models inside like the good things that they do. And there's a saying that says that we are an accumulation of the people that we're around the most. And hopefully you're taking the good parts of those people that are around you, and it's helping to build you into a better person. Yep.
What about you?
Nah, I gave mine, but yeah, pretty much. Like,
What do you? How do you? What do you?
And
I
before
think
before
it's
you answer that, I laughed earlier only because of right before it was time to go. Somehow Johnny grew like 3 inches. That's why Tone had to he had to readjust that camera because Johnny he grew 3 inches. How you do that?
That was that growth spurt I've been waiting for about 20 years.
I said,
take
how
the
did he
20
do
out.
that?
I've been
That nigga
waiting on
did this.
that
It was like
motherfucker.
I
I've been
say,
waiting on that motherfucker. It finally hit today.
all right, my bad, bro.
Oh no, you good. And like literally, it's crazy. And I think that you kind of did give the answer to the question. And it actually gives me goes. I go into another place where I sit and think. So like when you said social media has pretty much made it so you know what I mean. It's pulling the curtains back on your personal life so that we can't revere you as something that is grand. Because
Hmm.
what about this and what about that? And so I was thinking again earlier this week, and I was saying like, okay, um, we as a community, I think we've agreed that like, or tell people like, why are you putting all your business on social media? Like we talk when as it results to negatives, right?
Hmm.
So as it results to negatives, we would say tell somebody like, why are you putting your business on social media? But then as it comes to the positives, and it's okay to put your you know what I mean, put your positives and like your the things that you're proud of and all of your highlights, your highlight reel. It's okay to put your highlight reel out there, but it's not okay to put out your business as it relates to negativity.
Hmm.
And I think that what that has done is also giving us a whole bunch of highlight reels. So our expectation for whatever reason, our lives will get to a place to where they're full of highlight reels,
Hmm.
or we live highlight reels. Period. And there are no negatives. So it's like what and you know I'm the type of person where I like to disarm the room. I like to disarm the room with my personal. Then because I feel like that's the worst thing. I think we're getting worse and worse because everybody wants to project themselves as always good and not always not any bad. You know what I mean? And everything's always good. So like, I think that there's a balance that needs to be found because
That's true.
there's a balance that needs to be found because I even sit there as much as I want to. You know, I don't mind providing my negatives because I believe it helps people. Or my faults and you know what I mean. When I fail, I think that failures are honestly more
It's
important than
natural.
successes as long as you can fail in a productive way.
I will say this though, like we're reaching the space where like social media, like we talking about like the big figures, it can be used as a detriment to like if you're in a leadership position, somebody can use social media to take you down. But the truth, I think the opposite is also true. There's people who shouldn't be in leadership positions that they only show their highlights, and then people will thrust them into a leadership position just based on their highlights, and they're not showing none of the behind the scenes. And I think like that social media, it's a double edged sword to where you can use the social media to kind of decapitate your leadership, but then also people are using that to replace leadership with people who probably don't even really deserve to be in those spots just because they're good at like capturing the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
They're good at like I had. I scored one touchdown all season, but I'm gonna show you that one touchdown
Mm-hmm.
every fucking week. And you're
But
gonna
does it?
see that repeated. Or I had like,
What's the? He got 5 angles to that same
it's
touchdown.
5 angles of
Yeah.
that touchdown. He
And
gonna show a different
he
one
caught a one hand for the
every
first
week.
time in his life.
Yeah, and so
Hmm.
like I think that social media, it's like, and we got to go back and who like and look at like who's controlling the algorithms
Yeah, but
and why are
but
they put in spots and why
it's,
are they like
I want to say like
getting mad at certain stuff but allowing certain other stuff to just be pushed online.
and see this is the thing. And see, I don't want to and this goes. We always talk accountability. we always talk accountability. And there comes a place where you have to accept that you are being a sheep. You have to accept that you are being a sheep when you fall for those things. Like so, if you
You a
think
sheep,
that
Johnny.
any person walking this
I ain't
planet
no
right
sheep.
now is not gonna, if you believe that their highlight reel is real and that's their life,
Mm-hmm.
then you're a sheep. Don't blame the algorithm. You need to blame yourself.
Cool. Like
Blame yourself, because not only are you probably taking in too much of the algorithm, but you also have lost yourself
Mm-hmm.
somewhere within the
that
algorithm,
only
which you
applies
need to
to
hold
adults.
yourself
That's only
accountable for
applied to
this.
adults once you had a certain
Yeah,
amount of years of life experience. If you 13, you
Mm.
don't know no better.
I get
And
that,
like it's very easy to trick a bunch of high schoolers
right?
onto what's cool and what's right because they haven't lived enough life
And I'm
to
a
even
double back,
understand it.
especially if they parents is always at work and they ain't got time to be intentional with you.
I get
Oh,
that.
he's trying to bring it back.
I
He
had to
trying to
go
bring
and
it
go.
back. I
I
see
had
what
to
he.
go and hear me.
I see what he
I just
did.
do to me.
I
I
see what
just
he
cast
did
the
there.
rod backwards and caught a
I see.
bass. You ain't never caught a bass with the backward flip.
I ain't never seen
I
nobody
ain't
do
never
that.
threw the rod. I ain't never
Throw it backwards.
threw
You
the
hear
rod
me?
back.
I just hooked one. You ain't see me.
Hey,
You
this
ain't
man
never
say
see.
he fishing like this. But
I
I'm from
just
South
hooked one.
Carolina, bro. I ain't never seen nobody do that shit,
Did you
bro.
see the one I
I
hooked?
ain't never seen nobody do
Did you
that shit,
just see
bro.
the one I
I done
hooked?
been fishing a plenty of time.
Hey, see, you know,
I ain't never seen nobody
trying to
throw nothing
dodge.
back like this.
Mm.
You from Charlotte, man.
I'm like that,
I know
bro.
you ain't fishing like that.
Man,
You a city boy. You ain't fishing
I'm
like
like
that.
that, bro. But yeah, nah, for real, for real, I think
Hey,
that.
Sexy Red is
Oh
pregnant.
Lord,
City Boys up how many points now? Or did we get deducted for that
Is
one?
that
bro,
that's
that's
a
a
deduction?
deduction.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
That's a
Oh,
absolutely
deduction.
a
I ain't know.
deduction.
My bad, I ain't know.
So
That's an
now
You
A.
the
said you a city boy. It just reminded
the
me.
city girls are down because of that. Because
I
like,
think that's an L for everybody. That's
For
just.
real.
that's
I
a
think that's a
that's an L for the
collective L
community.
for the community.
That's a
Her,
Exactly.
community
her
L.
booty hole is brown
Shorty
though.
said my cookie pink, my Tootsie Roll brown. I was like,
Would you tell him, Johnny? Ladies, step your cookies up.
she did that shit with. You didn't say that.
Yeah. All right. Where we at with it?
Oh man, I
We
think we
landing that
did.
one?
Yeah,
You
I
got
think
more.
that might be a good place to go ahead and land that plane.